All right, I'm about to get on a plane and head to Atlanta to go to the Cook Chemi launch. But before I do so, I wanted to make a bottle video, update you on what I'm thinking, where we're at. This is probably the 10th bottle video I've made in the last 3 or 4 years. But we have some updates and some availability updates and some new IK sprayers that we're kind of adding to the discovery mix. But you know, keep in mind, I'm always disclaiming with these bottles, they're not there yet. You know, they're not. When I say not there, they're not where I want them to be yet. But we are miles, light years ahead of where I was a few years ago, trying to figure out what bottle I want. The ultimate goal for me is to have in my cabinet. So this frickin' cabinet right here drives me crazy. Look at that. Just a bunch of random bottles. Just a random bottle. God, I hate that so much. And so the plan, the ultimate goal, is to have the ability, and then to have some options, but to have the ability to have all the same type of bottle, all the same type of sprayer, all the same type of label, and then have very different brands and very different product types in these various bottles, but have them all line up, have them all match. I can keep the levels all the same. There's nothing that makes me happier than like getting my little funnel out and filling up a bottle to the top, you know, and emptying a gallon and throwing it away and ordering another one. And I know that many of you are the same as me. So the goal here is to have an end-to-end solution where all of my chemicals from all the different manufacturers are in the bottle. My business goal would be to be able to bottle all of these with the products that I like the most and sort of co-brand them, if you will, or co-label them. So that's the, I guess, the Obsessed Garage dream or the vision that I have for this whole thing. So with Pressol is a German manufacturer. These bottles are, I believe, manufactured in the Czech Republic. At least that's what all the documentation says when they show up. It cost me a frickin' fortune to get them here between taxes, duties, fees. They take forever to get, months and months at a time. I'm hoping to get a batch that's really good. So I think this is the one. I'm calling this version 1.3. Nothing's really changed other than some little minor tweaks I'll talk about here in a second. But I'm hoping to get this batch and see that we have at least a successful product that's going to work. And then be able to start ordering containers and keep them in stock. So that way I can start putting OG tire dressing and Decon soap, and then hopefully start putting some Meguiar's products and some CarPro products, whatever I can get permission to put in the bottles, P&S products. I'm going to start buying 350-gallon totes. I'm going to start buying bottling machines, and I'm going to put great products in a great bottle. So that's the intent. The reason why I say we're not there yet is, again, we still don't know how well these are going to function long term. Are these a 6-month bottle for $15, or are they a 6-year bottle for $15? I don't really know. Right now, some of them have been a 6-day bottle, and I appreciate all of you that have bought these things. There's no warranties on this stuff. You're just buying them to kind of help the cause, if you will. And I know that some people don't agree with that, but I know many of you are like me and would do that. I'm just falling on the sword for us, hoping to make a few bucks in the process and then find the bottle. So in Pressol, we have 5 different types, 3 different of the kind of goofy looking neck version, which I've really grown to love. And then we have 2 of the rather sort of cylinder type or trapezoid type bottles. They have some different types of heads, which I'll explain. And then the other addition to this discovery process is I've added in IK bottles. And so the other manufacturer that makes high-end, high-quality bottles would be Quasar. I know I don't like those. I've used those for about a decade. I wanted those to be the bottles. I don't like the ergonomics of them. I don't love the bottle. So I'm not as in love with the IK bottle. I certainly don't like the sprayer, but I'm going to explain why we're kind of doing this experiment and why I'm carrying them in the store, why I'm asking you to buy them, because I'm going to fight the good fight. I'm going to fight to the end of the earth to get these right. And I don't know if it's going to take me 2 years or 10 years. I don't know how it's going to work, but we'll keep working at it. So let's talk about the good. So the Pressol. These are called the household sprayers. They come in 500 milliliter and 750. I like the 750 size. I think that's the best size. I think these are the best looking bottles on the planet. We can make some really cool labels for them. They have these little grooves. The disadvantage to this bottle over the funky looking one is it's not quite as ergonomic. So in my hand, it's not uncomfortable, but it's not as ergonomic as the other. One thing I'm thinking about doing is modifying these. I'm going to start to test this on my own and take the better industrial sprayer, the more chemical resistant sprayer head, and put it on a translucent bottle so that I can get my really cool looking labels that Bryce designed, and is going to be, we're going to have Obsessed Garage versions and all different types of versions in different colors. But these 500s I think are a little too small. Some people like 500s. 750s are going to hold a little more product. They don't make these in a liter, but now we have some pretty solid atomization. I really like how these work. You can see it's dual action, so push-pull. I can use a lot of product for a little product, so I have a lot of control over this. And you can see it doesn't hit my finger, so it's right at the edge. But I do have a little bit less ergonomics here because of the way this bottle is designed, the way the neck is set up. Again, I prefer the other neck, but this is going to likely be the standard. There are no dilution ratios on these. That's where the IK has a huge advantage. There's no dilution ratio yet. And this is the only translucent version, and this is a HBDE plastic, so it's not squeezable either. So those are kind of the cons of it. Then you have the same bottle in blue, which I think is super cool. This spray head is identical, so they're identical spray heads. They come with a tube-like with a small filter on the bottom, somewhat pliable, but these stay relatively straight inside the bottle. There's no ability, once this starts to get down a bit, then using it sideways really isn't going to work very well. But these are designed to be an upright bottle. These clearly are well built. Some of the issues we had, version 1.1, or version 1 we'll call it, is they had a different, I don't know how this got through, but the heads, you had to torque. And so what happened is the heads were splitting. In fact, the very first video I made with them, the head split off. I thought it was alcohol. I thought it was a chemical thing. So they've changed the head. So now that we have some more adjustability, so you can see if I use the bottle right out of the box, I can shoot this across the darn room. But now they're not as tight. You don't have to torque it down as much. And they also have changed the orifice size. So version 1.2 is where they changed the tip, I call it, where the tip has a little more adjustability, as well as a little better atomization, and we've sort of eliminated the failure point. Problem with version 1.2 on a lot of these is then, and this is a funny story, this company is a German company. They've been around for like 100 years. They're very meticulous. Every single one of these spray heads is tested before they're sent out of the facility. Well, we come to find out they're tested by a robot. And something about the robot, the way that they were testing each bottle, the robot, maybe because they pull uniformly, but we were having issues where the piston would leak out the bottom. Many of you who bought these saw that happen to probably 35% of the bottles. And so they had to adjust their testing methods. And so these are all the things we figure out when we put these bottles out into the wild. So then version 1.3, which is what we have here, I'm calling it 1.3, Pressol isn't calling it that, I'm calling it that, is new tip, new piston action, no leaking or anything. This should be pretty good. But I'm not going to find out until you guys go out and beat the crap out of them. So I'm still calling these beta tested. I'm still asking you not to buy these if you're going to call and want new parts and pieces. We're just not going there. Don't buy it. I'll hold on to all of them. I'll keep them. I bought $70,000 of them or something insane. I'll just sit on them. But those of you who like to try things, I think we're pretty good. We're going to continue to have replacement parts, but you're going to have to buy them. I'm financing, I'm taking a huge risk on this project to begin with. If you're not into that, then just don't go there. Don't buy it. But These are my favorite looking bottle, the 750 translucent. I know we have to order more of these already, but this, this to me, on a shelf, I mean, is there anything better looking than that? Even in, comparison to IK, I mean, that is freaking fantastic. I don't care who you are, that's a fantastic setup. So, then you have same type of head, but these are what they call a garden sprayer. Now you're getting into this sprayer that has the more ergonomic bottle. So just look how comfortable that is. This to me is kind of the epitome of how I want a bottle to function. Again, 750 is my favorite size, but even if you go up to a bigger 1 liter, if you like to have more chemicals, a 2-finger pull, 2-finger on the bottle, super ergonomic. I just think it's fantastic. The problem with these, and somebody just actually sent me some photos of how they came up with a label for this, but we've been struggling to figure out how we could put a label on these bottles. In a perfect world, I want this bottle with this head, and that's the bottle that I want. I mean, some people like the silver setup, but this type is the way to go. I mean, the greens, the nice thing about the greens is they're translucent, so you can see through them. And I think what we're going to come up with long term is I'm going to figure out how to put the best spray head on all the bottles, and we'll kind of go there. But right now it comes like this, and you could just buy one of these spray heads to put with it. But eventually we'll be selling empty bottles and stuff like that too. So I'm working on it. I think those of you who run a business and deal with products, especially if you've ever developed a product or worked with a company to develop a product, it's not as simple as it seems, especially when you're dealing with products that are made halfway across the world. But yeah, 750 garden sprayer. These have the same, they come with the same tube. The tube length is different depending on the size of the bottle, but they come with the same filter, whatever this, the LPDE plastic or whatever this is, that is relatively chemical resistant, but they don't advertise these. These are not 180 sprayers like my favorites, which are the chemical resistant. So the chemical resistant sprayers, again, these all come in 500, 750, 1000. They're what, I think we have it priced at like $13.95, $15.95, $17.95, and all three of these. I think these are $10.95 and $13.95, something like that. Just go to obsessedgarage.com. We have them on the site. I'm the exclusive U.S. distributor for this. We'll figure out how to wholesale them to other companies once I get it figured out. But I don't want to go into that until we get it figured out and make sure that we have a viable product. So the advantage, you can hear the weight bouncing around. The weight falls to the bottom side of the bottle, so theoretically this is a 180 sprayer. I don't find that to be as super useful. I'm more interested in the chemical resistance, and hopefully they last a little longer. But the function of this, see, to me, that is a rather appropriate amount of atomization of a product. That's what I want it to do. And then you have dual action, which I've never been a huge fan of dual action, but I was trying to ask myself, am I a fan of this because these are my bottles, or am I a fan of it because I'm a fan of it? Because I would never like them on the Quasars. I think the reason why I like it on this is because just there's a really solid feel to the piston on this. There's pushback. Like, for me to pull this all the way back is kind of hard to do. So all I feel the need to do is just tap it. What I'm hoping to see in the future is that I'm hoping that we're able to create, various levels of atomization on these. These are kind of shooting across the room or atomizing. I'd like the ability to maybe control that a little bit more. So hopefully we can kind of work on the engineering of that in the future. But these black bottles and red bottles are identical. The heads are just different color, but these are what they call the industrial sprayers, which are theoretically more chemically resistant. And here's the filter. So the filter's a bit more solid. It's a stainless steel filter. The tube is a denser, heftier plastic. and it pulls from a smaller diameter. I want to ask them next time I get on a conference call with Pressol people, ask them if there's is there some sort of functional advantage of having a smaller cylinder in the tube than not? So something that is interesting. So I'm pretty confident we're going to see longevity out of version 1.3. But we're going to find out with you guys buying these and trying them. So we're also going to launch some products in some of our giveaways we have coming up where I actually bottle in these. We're going to try our labels and things like that. But again, the ultimate goal here would be to have, could you imagine having all Pressol bottles with an amazing label? We're probably going to be doing some generic labels and also have Obsessed Garage labels for those who are fans of Obsessed Garage. In my mind, I'm going to have Meguiar's hyper dressing. So it's going to say hyper dressing, so I'll have an OG hex and the same color as CarPro Eraser. And again, I don't know if I can convince these companies to allow me to do it, but it's co-branded. It's Obsessed Garage, Meguiar's hyper dressing. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm mixing up hyper dressing in my bathtub. It's going to be a Meguiar's product. So one of the things I've been thinking about is these IK bottles, which are really interesting to me. I'd actually talked to the IK guys at SEMA 2 years ago when my friends at the rag company introduced me. They have a great relationship. I'm buying these, wholesale in bulk from the rag company. I bought 4 or 5 pallets of them. There's the gray hydrocarbon base, which we don't really have anything to do. We're using that has hydrocarbons in it. Mainly, it's just buy whichever color you like. But the reason why I decided to start carrying these bottles is I really want to be a part of the development of it. They have some really interesting advantages over the Pressols. One, they already have a product ID badge on the back, which I think is a really neat idea. They're very labelable, so we could create a label for them very easily, very nicely. And I'm not in love with the big giant logo on there. I think the Pressol logo is a little more subdued, a little more specific. I also don't love the kind of bolted on plastic. What I do love is the dilution ratio and the translucence of these bottles. And so we're on to something, they're on to something. From what I understand, I don't know the whole story, but from what I understand, they're in development on their own spray head. But for the time being, they needed a spray head to complement because the bottle was done, and the bottle was, they'd already purchased the molds. This matches very nicely, especially if you're an IK pump sprayer user. It matches really nicely. I love that. I don't love the pump head sprayers. The IKs are great, probably the best pump head sprayers on the planet. Pressol makes them too. I just don't like pump head sprayers. I like these type of sprayers. So this is a 1 liter bottle, and then they're putting on a very generic, this is a Canyon sprayer. I've had these sprayers back in the past. In a lot of my testing, I bought every sprayer from, that I could get my hands on, from Amazon to Alibaba to Canyon to Tolco to anything I get a hold of, and brought stuff over from Europe. And these sprayers are like this is a very cheap 90-cent sprayer. It sprays well. This is very reminds me very like a barber, like something you have in a barber shop. I don't need that little or that ability to atomize as much as this does, but it does atomize really well. I know a lot of people really like this. This spray head, if you can see here on the red camera, it's super cheap, and so this is super narrow, and you got a 1 liter bottle, so I would probably use these half full, but you got a 1 liter bottle that's like cutting into my hand, but it's not long enough to really to stabilize. Like these, you can see, are pretty darn substantial and ergonomic, so it just works better. Just something to consider with these. I know a lot of people really like these. These are much more turnkey than the Pressol is, being it has a dilution ratio. You can just write your product ID, or you can print something and put it in there. I don't know. So the reason why I chose these was because I want to be a part of it. Who knows? I'll punt it on Pressols in the trash if IK comes out with the greatest sprayer bottle combination. One of the things I've been considering doing is, and I hadn't tried this, someone mentioned in the podcast that these spray heads work on an IK bottle. Let's see if it leaks. I think it bottoms out prematurely. I guess it does work. Could work. It's not quite tight. Yeah, see, it'll leak a little bit because it's not allowing you to tighten it all the way. But this, this could be a combo. But again, this bottle is so much heavier with all the bolted on plastic that I think it's going to be really important for IK to come out with a spray head that is as equally as substantial. So I'm hoping that they watch this video, and I'm hoping that I can be sort of a part of that conversation. And like I said, I'm just looking for the best. And who knows, maybe there's a couple of different options that each have their own quirks, their own advantages that we choose. These are $15.99 and I believe $18.99. And so chemical resistant, but again, this is just this is a 20, it probably cost them 20, 30 cents to manufacture these sprayers. You're paying for the bottle here and a temporary sprayer, and there's no question that all of these bottles are going to last you the rest of your freaking life. It's the sprayer that's the consumable. The question is, do you buy a $15 or $18 or $19 sprayer bottle combination? Are you going to be okay if that spray head lasts 6 months? I would be. Are you? That's the question. Hopefully they last 2-3 years. I just don't know. And hopefully we can get to the point to where they last a long time. But if I have the bottle, and then once every 6 months, if I had to spend $7 more on a new sprayer, and hopefully the pricing on all these come down over time as they become, we start importing more and more into the U.S. Rag Company brings in more and more to the U.S. I bring in more and more of the Pressols to the U.S. We start selling them all over the place. The pricing would most certainly come down on them, But again, what's it going to come down? $2, $3, something like that. They're still going to be $10 plus bottles. I believe, and I would pay for it. So if let's say that I had 20 spray bottles at $20 a piece, as much as I use them, as much as I like them, I would invest $400 in bottles and labels. If they were all uniform, and if I had to invest once a year, another 20 bottles at say $750, what is that? Another $150 a year on amazing sprayers, amazing action, amazing atomization. I would do that too. $150 every 3 months. I don't think that I would want to do that. But $150 a year, or even better, $150 every 2 years, or even better, $100 or less if the pricing comes down. It's something I'm working toward. But my long-term vision is to be able to put some of the what are my favorite products in the world in my favorite bottles in the world with my favorite label in the world, and then I can match them all up and put them on the shelf, and then eventually get some gallons to match. Imagine you had this bottle here, 750 milliliters, with a crazy, amazing label, or even if it's the translucent, because we can't figure out how to do that well. If somebody wants to reach out to me, and if you make labels or you want to sell them to me, I'll frickin' buy them in a second. If you can figure out, we'll send you some of these bottles and figure out how to make an amazing label for this. But just imagine you had these all lined up on your stainless steel shelves. They didn't leak. They didn't have a problem. That would be crazy. And then imagine you had a gallon of equal ilk that you could just be refilling, and then we could sell you 5-gallon jugs, and you refill those gallons, and everything just looks uniform and beautiful. So that's something we're working on. The other thing that I had to have Pressol come out with, this is you're looking at prototype number 1, is some sort of a cap for this. These have rather coarse threads, and so this cap, I wanted a cap design that's better than the caps that are available today. Something that would seal. Actually, let's try one of these with some water in it that we could ship. Shoot, I'll pay a freaking $1 for a cap if it's an awesome cap. I think this could we're onto something. I also want them to make some LED PE bottles so that I can have some squeezability, something that matches this. We're working toward that. So imagine squeezable bottles for your soaps, spray bottles for spraying, matching gallons, matching 5-liter dispensers. I'm gonna get there with all amazing labels. Caps for shipping, caps for storage, caps for refilling, caps that match on these, that match on the gallons. That's what we're going for. That's what we're working towards. But I need caps so that I can put OG tire dressing, or I can put whatever products. I'd like to come up with some sort of OG exclusive version of bead maker or something like that we can cap off and put in a box, ship it out to you. So we're working on all that stuff too. So this was, I mean, we literally just got these today. DHL Express from who knows where in the world they came from, but from Pressol. So that's a wrap. We have these all available in the store right now as you're watching this. Inventory will be always difficult to get for now. I'm assuming the IKs as well. If it's me, I'm gonna buy both. If it's me, if I'm you, and I had me to buy from, I'd buy freaking every single one of them. I'd buy every size, I'd buy every color, I'd buy the IKs, and I'd use them. And I'd throw the ones away that I didn't like. And that's what most of you that watch these videos do. The only difference is I'm saving you the pain of trying to import them from somewhere else. And I'm going to tell you more about them than anybody else is going to tell you. And I'm going to be real with you. Don't frickin' call me and tell me that it's broken. We'll compile the data, and I'll find out for myself as we're using them. And when I need it, I'll ask you how they doing, how the bottle's doing, what needs to be fixed. And then I get on a frickin' call with the Germans, and they have a translator, and we talk. And I tell them, as in my same tone of voice, look, guys, this thing frickin' sucks. Doesn't work. The tips are breaking off. What the heck? And then they fix it for us. And so, to me, I think there's some value in that. So, anyway, I think it's appropriate to say stay tuned for more crazy. I've been chasing this for a long time, and I'm going to continue to chase it. Again, this isn't my sole chase, and so it's going to take some time. But anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate the support. Buy these suckers so that we can get closer and closer and closer to making it better and better and better. And I'll keep you posted. So buy these in order to make them viable. See you soon. Thanks for watching.